All right. 1, 2, 3, go. Hey, everybody that's listening to the iSuck at Jiu Jitsu show. I'm sitting down with my friends Ron, and Bryce. Sometimes people call you John. Maybe we'll get into that, why that is. But we all just competed on a super fight show. And recently, or just last week, I did an episode on how to prep and how to compete in a super fight and how that is different than a jiu-jitsu competition and how there are some similarities. And I kept that episode really short because I knew we were going to do a watch through of our 3 matches that we had just a few weeks ago. Spoiler alert, we all did really well. We all tried our best. And we're just going to kind of start to look through those. But I know I've only ever talked bad about Bryce and never given him a mic, so we'll kind of introduce you to Bryce for the first time. But first, let me introduce you to my brown belt, Ron. How are you doing, Ron?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you're finally here on the podcast. We've talked about doing one for a while.
Yep.
And getting you here and having a good reason, having something fun to do should be a really good time.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, Bryce, how does it feel to have some voice?
Feels good. I'm glad that I can finally defend myself here.
Well, we will see about that, won't we? And so I think a fun place to start, and just from your guys' recollection of it, because like I said, it was only like a couple weeks ago. When you start to think about the day of the tournament, what are kind of your first, or the show, what are your guys' first memories or thoughts on that day when you get up and you start to go about your day?
Ron, you want to go?
I don't know. I was pretty nervous for a couple days. It's normal for me. I don't know why. But woke up, just did my normal thing. I think I even went to the gym that morning just to kind of visit and see what was going on during class. Left, took me a nice little nap, and then I think I met up with you guys.
Mm-hmm. And I remember you and I talking about that nervousness day of, competition. We were both kind of experiencing that, day of.
Yeah, for sure.
I was excited. I was just happy to compete in St. Louis again because I feel like every time I've competed in St. Louis, I really haven't done as well as I wanted to. And
we've all felt like that too.
Yeah.
We all agree.
Definitely.
It's something we talk about a lot when you're not around.
But yeah, I was more excited than nervous, I think, for this one. So I was excited to go to the gym and hang out with everybody beforehand too.
And yeah, we didn't talk about all meeting at the gym, but it was funny that we all met at the gym, just decided, as I always do that when I have a super fight in St. Louis, is just show up and hang out with everybody a little bit in the morning.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to just be here for a few minutes.
And there's something about, I think about it when we talked about this before we started recording, when you think back to some of the first tournaments that we all did together, there's something about just the riding together, the being together, and not just with the 3 of us, but then getting to see everybody on the team the day you're going to compete. That's kind of uncommon. And when you get to do St. Louis stuff or do a local show, you get to see everybody, and that's really fun.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not as exhausting not traveling and going everywhere. The drive, staying in a hotel room. So it's kind of nice.
Do you guys, we were talking about this, what are some of your guys' memories of first time that we did a tournament, an IBJJF, the 3 of us did one together? This would have been Charlotte 2021. Charleston, not Charlotte.
2021.
Yes.
Charleston 2021. So, and it's still pretty COVID. Yeah, I think we had to sneak people in on one day or something. It's still...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were definitely sneaking in and out of that place.
Yeah, was it 2021. But what are your guys' immediate recollection? I know you got some interesting stuff, Ron.
Yeah. Well, it was a long drive. I think that you guys flew there, right? Did everybody fly there?
Yeah, we all flew.
You guys flew. Me and Dylan, we drove. We were driving. I don't know how far of a drive it is. It's somewhere between 15 and 16 hours, something like that. It's pretty far, right?
Uh-huh.
So anyway, we're driving, and we get like 45 minutes out, and we have problems with the front end of the truck, and we can't drive it no more. So we pull over in a gas station, and I think we were at the gas station till like midnight, waiting on AAA. And then they decided to call back and be like, "Oh, do you have your wife? It's your wife's AAA. So if you don't have her there, we can't do it."
Oh no.
Yeah, so it was real terrible. But luckily, we got a tow truck. It was pretty cheap. We got a hold of Richie and I believe Bryce.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
think
came out.
Someone's parents drove.
Richie's mom had driven up. I think he had family that lived there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think his brother was out there. Or something.
Okay. Yeah, so they drove 45 minutes and come and picked us up and gave us a ride to the hotel. Dylan wasn't actually even going to compete because his truck broke down. He was pretty upset about it.
And it was like trying to it's not like we woke up in the morning and everything was settled. It was like we woke up in the morning and you guys were trying to figure out where you could get the truck to, how to get it fixed, what was wrong with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was
It was definitely a fun first trip because I believe that was my first IBJJF too.
It was like before, like while some of us were competing, Ron was like calling all these tow truck drivers and trying to hustle all these tow truck drivers. And
that I remember that. That's something I vividly remember is like the initial price was insane and Ron just beat some dudes down and like it ended up being a really fair price and they were like dropping you guys off at the tournament
Yes.
and staying there to coach, you know, like recording your guys' matches. Like
It was pretty close to that. Yeah, he picked Dylan up from the hotel, gave him a ride to the venue, I believe, and then picked him up and took him to his truck.
Yeah.
To get it.
Uh-huh.
So it was super. The dude was super awesome, and he did it for a great, great price.
how'd you guys do in that tournament?
I didn't compete.
I
I
won.
was injured. I just popped my AC on my left shoulder. So
What a Bryce answer to that.
I
So
won.
that wasn't the time. We just were all there at the same time. We didn't all
Yeah.
compete together.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. Richie was there. I believe he
Yeah.
competed with us.
He competed. That was like Richie won. But I think that might have been the only guy on the team that got any wins at that one.
I think I won Charleston.
You win Charleston?
Uh-huh.
Who did you?
Pretty sure.
Did you armbar that guy?
Yeah, that was that.
Oh, my
armbar
gosh.
When he went to try to collar choke me.
Yeah, that was sick. Ron, you're my hero.
Yeah.
I remember that. Ooh, that was a good armbar. I didn't realize that was Charleston.
Yeah.
So from there, we have competed alongside each other a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Over the last 3 years. Any standout thoughts for you? Any standout moments for you? Any standout moments of each other?
I'm thinking of Ron. I'm thinking how tough he is, and he tried to cut 11 pounds in 1 hour in Chicago.
Chicago. Oh man.
That was miserable. That was like you were doing. What weight were you doing on that one?
So I don't know. I was doing. I thought I was doing featherweight. I believe.
Which is 154.
Yeah, and I actually signed up for light feather. So I had like 11 pounds to cut. I got like 7. I got through like 7 pounds, which wasn't bad
Do you think if you had more time, you would have made it?
for sure.
Oof.
How good I would have did, I don't know, but
But you would have been there. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oof. Sometimes that is some of the best jiu-jitsu stories or competition stories are the brutal weight cuts and all the stuff that happens beforehand, and then hopefully you can still win.
Yeah, it was tough, but it was fun. I had a good time.
I don't know. That was a miserable hour though.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. I watched Star Wars while in that portable sauna. So
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I was doing okay.
I lost at that one too. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. That was my first time doing adult black belt middle ever. That was the first time I did middle as a black belt. And yeah, I lost. I think I lost like maybe by an advantage or 2 or something.
Yeah.
And then I lost to the same guy like a month later in Vegas.
I feel like he was cheating.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You know, no doubt. Bryce was giving him inside information. Bryce, any other standout? I remember Do you remember first time? Were you there first time Bryce won blue belt adult? Was it Memphis?
Yeah.
I believe I was in Memphis.
Yeah. That was a really good one. Bryce had, again, we had been talking about not only had he underperformed for a while, but just so unlikable. He really had a likability issue. And he goes out and he just, he was standing on his head out there.
You sub 3 guys that day? Was that?
No, my second match I won just on top with points.
But the final was a submission, right?
Yeah, I armbarred the guy.
So
And that-
sub points.
Sub, yeah.
And that was the same arm that your brother had
Yeah.
really gotten on that guy too. And I can't believe he didn't tap to Brian's arm bar on it.
Yeah, Brian definitely probably helped me out there. Thanks for taking the hit for me there.
Not to say I'm right as a coach, but I remember telling those guys one time, they're like, hey, should we be competing in the same weight class? I'm like, dude, if one guy beats you, you wear him out. Like, you start to see it like, oh no, the writing's on the wall. I'm in trouble here. Bryce, I got you, or vice versa. I mean, we know that Bryce wouldn't do that for anybody, but Brian would do it. He's a team player.
Yeah. He did that already for him.
So do you guys want to start our watch through while we bash Bryce? I think it would be a really good place to start since he was first match of the night.
Yeah.
Where were you guys? I know that warm-up wasn't great for you, Bryce. Is that right?
No, I feel like I actually got a decent warm up and Ron helped me out. We were up in the little, shipment containers and, played my guard retention game and then did it on top. And, yeah, felt good.
How long out did you before you started to warm up?
Probably like 45 minutes, kind of the usual stuff.
What is the usual stuff?
I mean, in there, I didn't really have as much room to jog and move around. So then it was just the guard retention games and moving around on that little bit of mat space. But I'm saying in same time frame, usually warming up 45 minutes before. So
Most importantly, pre-match meal.
French fries.
French fries from, what was that place called?
I don't remember. It was a bistro.
Yeah, it was like the Red Bistro or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would eat there again.
I don't know if I would. I felt a little bit offended when we saw people eating rice bowls. And then we ordered rice bowls, and he's like, what kind of meat do you want? We're like, oh, we'll take these teriyaki meatballs. They look really good. And then he brought us out only the teriyaki meatballs. Yeah. And we were like, hey, didn't this come with rice? And he's like, we don't have rice.
Right. I seen someone.
And we
with
said,
rice.
we're like, yeah, we saw that guy. He's like, yeah, that's fried rice. We're like, okay. We'll just eat meatballs, bro.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was our, meatballs and French fries.
Now that you mention it, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I generally don't eat, but these super fights, you almost have to. All right, Bryce, let's get rolling. And for me, this will be the first time that I've watched this match in full because I didn't realize I showed up and Bryce had already won. I was kind of doing my first warm-up, but we had other coaches there. Bryce doesn't even listen to me anyway, dude.
I guess we'll skip through this. They didn't
Bryce,
play my walkout
I was
song,
just about to say, what
and
song did you...
I'm going to complain about it.
What song was it?
It was Bad Reputation by Joan Jett.
Do you want to play this clip and then sing it?
No.
Okay. We can't play it for copyright issues, but if you wanted to sing...
Shit, I guess I should.
Right to the double guard pull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the setup to the triangle, having the triangle locked 7 seconds into a match is a really good way to start a match.
Oh, for sure.
No, yeah, I knew he was gonna come out low, and we both wanted to pull guards, so I just wanted to come out as fast as I could and try to get straight to it. He kept his hand out. I did too, which was risky, but I figured I could get the triangle for sure.
And you like to live by the sword or die by the sword.
Sometimes, yeah.
You're a big fan of that, Right here, I agree. I'm surprised that you don't finish this.
Yeah, he
that
was
looks like a
eating this,
really
man.
good angle.
I was a little upset he was able to eat it for so long. But switch to the punch choke there. Going for arm pinch there, but missed it. Trying to readjust. This dude's tough as heck for eating this. Just
A
trying to get
little
that
part
arm
of me
back
wishes
over.
he would have slammed you. Like, just a little part.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened before.
Yeah.
Good distance here. Still just like,
This guy's.
Yeah.
he really
I could've
is.
I could have had his posture broken a little bit
Mhm.
more.
That's
but
what I was
yeah.
thinking. The armbar finish was great.
I figured the armbar was coming eventually, so
Go back just a second. Yeah, I feel like if you would have went head post a little, like 1 second longer than you did, because you head post really well right here, and you get your distance
yeah, just getting that back over.
right there. And so I guess you didn't even head post to it, but just a little more extension away with your thighs, if that makes any sense. I think might have locked it up a little more and broken his posture just a little more. That and steroids. If you would have done steroids, that would have broken his posture more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Good
that felt
celebration. He points. Oh, throws. Was that the Spidey dog
Spidey
pound?
dog
Was that the
pound,
first
dude.
time ever?
That was.
That was the debut
Oh,
of the Spidey
man.
Dog Pound.
You
Why are
know,
we just now seeing this?
yeah, that was pretty impressive. I like got web on me, bro. That was wild. Yeah, I think that the people don't realize how many different versions of the dog pound hand motion that there are.
Yeah.
You know?
Some really good ones.
Yeah, I like the Spidey dog pound. That was cool. Let's see. I go pretty much same one every time. You know, I don't deviate. I do the dog bite, you know,
Yeah.
over the mouth. Invented it. I'm good with it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty nice.
Oh, Ron coming out. Both guys, as we need to mention, wearing Aisaka Jiu-Jitsu sets.
Had
If
to.
if that doesn't prove its success, we definitely have never lost matches wearing Aisaka Jiu-Jitsu, so stop. But if we did, I don't know. What'd you walk out to, Ron?
Splurge by Nelly.
What was I'm pretty sure I know this answer. What was your warm-up before you started? Weren't you supposed to have a warm-up partner that no-showed on you?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, bro.
warmed up with Bryce 45 minutes before his match.
Yeah, for Bryce. Yeah.
With Bryce.
Yeah.
And then I did my match.
Because
I fucked up.
he was telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I'm supposed to help Ron warm up. I'm like, hey, they're calling Ron's name. He's walking out right now. And he's like, uh-oh, I didn't help him warm up. I'm like,
It's okay.
yeah, he was warm enough, you know?
Yeah. He tried to kill me up in that room.
Yep.
I mean, you can clearly see here that it worked out for us.
Right.
He had all his energy saved because he didn't waste it on a warm up.
Right. I was fine. Wasn't even sweating at all.
There's a little, was it a headbutt or a?
Yeah, I got headbutted in the lip. And it kind of sucked for like a week, for real.
Really? Yeah. You just brushed it off.
Yeah.
So I'm watching right here, and when I see you trapped here, I'm like, oh no, I better get close. I better come over there to help Ron, give him some info on this position. And then your leg came out, and I said, oh, I'm gonna go warm up. I'm out of here. Yeah, it was.
I've been doing that quite often lately, even more since it worked so well here.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever seen you do that. That arm wrench on the far arm was such a good way to free your leg.
Yeah, he immediately started to address it, and I was like, oh, my leg popped out. That was super nice.
If someone was watching online, I would tell them to, if you ever get stuck in that almost triangle position with that butterfly hook in,
Yeah.
or listening to it, I would watch this online because that is such a normal position to get stuck in, and I just never seen anybody turn out that way. It was tricky.
Yeah.
Would you say it was the arm lock or the triangle that finished?
It was definitely the arm lock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, once we fall over, like like tighten the triangle, but as soon as we fall over, I kind of get a real.
Oh, yeah,
great
okay.
one.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Let's see the Ron celebration, and we'll rate the 2. Oh, look, Ron's respectful. He shakes
Ron
his
was a lot
opponent's
more-
hand.
Yeah. a lot more casual.
I did throw up dog pound somewhere around here. I was
Did
like,
you just ask him, is my lip bleeding?
he says, it's just busted. And I was like, dude, we talked about this before the fight. We
Yeah,
said it
don't
wasn't
hit
a
me.
fight. Yeah.
Don't hit me, man.
You remember talking
There was
about that?
there was the dog pound. I
Yeah.
do remember that
Yeah.
conversation.
We were like, this isn't a fight.
Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
I'm not
man.
gonna
Darn
hit you.
it. He's like, he did.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Josh McKinney here. Just wanted to interrupt this episode really quick and tell you about something we have at the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu Show Pro. So right now you're listening to a conversation between me, one of my brown belts, one of my purple belts, Ron and Bryce, and we're breaking down match footage. We're kind of talking Jiu-Jitsu in the way that we like to on our team and breaking down Jiu-Jitsu the way that we like to on our team. And all of these habits, all of these training methods that we use, all of these ideas that we use with Jiu-Jitsu conversation, they are all explained in detail and incredibly simply in my dad and I's latest instruction that we did together called How to Train Jiu-Jitsu. How to Train Jiu-Jitsu is filmed almost a little more like a movie. It's kind of fun to watch. It's about 90 minutes long, and what we do is we start you out with the original training method that we had, and we take you through how our training has developed. And so not only are you learning about what we do now, but you're learning about why we do what we do now. And that makes such a big difference when it comes to actually getting better at jiu-jitsu, actually knowing the training method, actually knowing the terminology, actually knowing how to study jiu-jitsu. And all of that is available on the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu Show Pro, How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu, along with all of our other courses, the Trinity of Guard Passing, Master Any Position Master Any Position in 6 weeks, 60 moves that work when you are 60 plus. All of this available on the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu Show Pro, so be sure to check it out. Let's get back to the episode. Hey, look, it's me.
Nice. Not quite yet.
Wow, why is so much of it? Did I compete for that long?
I think mine and Ron's matches were just that short.
Okay, rapid recap. I got straight ankle locked by this guy a year ago.
Yeah, in Kansas City.
In
right?
Kansas City. I was doing really well in the match. Felt really good for my guard. Towards the end of the match, he fell back on an ankle lock, finished it. Not an ideal way to have a match. So game plan was I'm going to wrestle up. Let's see if I do that. Holy smokes. Man, I heard the crowd go, whew, when I retained guard on that one.
You have like 20 cornermen.
I have 20 cornermen. Yeah, to a point where, they're going to have to remove me from the venue because I have too many cornermen.
Yeah.
I
But
mean, they really were trying to pull him back.
No, they did at one point.
Listen, I need a lot of perspectives,
Right.
A lot of stuff's going on out here. Right here, I'm going, man, I wish Robert Arias was here. I wish he didn't have plans tonight. And then I look up and I can see him and I'm like, Robert, what do I do from close guard? And he's like, Josh, you don't play close guard. Let go. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. You're right.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, this is where things, man, this is a good camera angle right here.
Yeah, decent production.
I could tell that he wanted me to engage him standing really badly, which made me not want to engage him standing at all. And so that's why I just stood up and hand fought in those.
Have you ever had anyone like clap at you like this guy did?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I don't know. I see a lot of people do it. That I felt good. That first connection, and then I totally missed it. I totally went at the wrong time on it. See how much I put. Go back on that, Bryce. This is terrible jiu-jitsu. Terrible jiu-jitsu.
Go try to.
Right there. So look, I get back, I get to this arm wrench, and I throw this hook in, and I try to go right away, and I don't use that arm lock at all. Very much, this was a good injury, but very much I think like even this next move, super fight lights going a little too fast, trying a little too just not picking my spots like I would normally. And obviously, tough guy too, but I just felt like I was rushing a little bit in these fights. This is a cool transition. Watch me go to this forearm.
I feel like I've seen that before.
I think you probably invented it. You know, it would be really surprising to so many people if they saw how much of my jiu-jitsu game was just Ron's jiu-jitsu game, but just done at 190 pounds instead of 140, and it works 50 pounds better.
Yes.
Everyone was telling me to jam my leg in, and I was like, shut up. I don't want him to know, guys. I want to do it eventually. Okay, the fact that this dude is about to eat this armbar is obnoxious to me. And so on this, and like for context for somebody watching, when you get belly down on an armbar, that means you have all of your weight behind it when you hip in. And I mean, I get full extension belly down in a second. Spoiler alert. Right here, all I'm trying to get is my hips over his shoulder and get both hands on his wrist and start to get into this belly down position. And so I get into it, hipping in as hard as I can, as hard as I can, as hard as I can. Right there, he does start. He's not even off the stage yet. Right there, yeah. As he starts to slide off the stage, that really gets him out. You see me push him a little bit.
Did he slide off?
You know, what it was I needed the reset for sure anyway. He was out of bounds. He wasn't going to be mad about a reset. Like, hey, this isn't, neither of us want to be here. We're standing, what if we just got reset? And then I sit. So at this point, right here, I was like back to the game plan. That wasn't the best shot in the world. That wasn't the best off your butt shot.
Is that what you were worried about? One of his biggest.
He has a very good guillotine. When he competed against Jordan the last couple times, one of them, he won the match, not with the finish of the guillotine, but just off of the threat of it. That's why I just took him over and just tried to stay on top from this. I know people thought that I was dying here, but that's just kind of like the looseness that I do jiu-jitsu. I really am not. I'm not like going in and out of consciousness with my hands limp there. I was just trying to wiggle my head free. And I wanted to just go right back into the shot. Right here, pause this, Bryce. So last 2 minutes, I would say I'm definitely ahead. No doubt the reason that the match goes the way that it does is because Kyle Watson changes the game plan. And he does it. Were you guys close enough to hear him?
No.
No, I was at the pillar, like behind him.
Okay, so I had wanted that wrestle up position as my game plan. I really thought I thought it could let me get underneath him and I could sweep and play more top, but I also thought if I could get in on a low single, I would get him down and be able to play top. But me and Kyle had talked about it before. It's like, how long would you need if you felt like you were on top? I'm like 2 to 3 minutes of playing top the whole time. He's like, okay, so at the 2 minute mark, if you're not there, we're just going to play guard. And so he kind of told me that and prepped me that before. And you can see it right when we disconnect. I was like, I'm just going to shoot again. And Kyle yells, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Something along the lines of your guard is working. And that was why I go from sit up, I want to wrestle up, to, okay, you're right, coach. And we'll see how it plays out. Shout out Imposed Will for all the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show sets.
Yeah,
and
great.
And the super secret custom head nod one that I have here. You know, the McKinney set that no one has. Right there, he goes back to the old well. Goes back to the ankle lock.
Dang, Josh, you should have.
Triangle?
Yeah,
Triangle.
man.
Go back on
Wow.
it. Go back on it. I agree. I that's where I normally go on this. So if you see, he sits back for this ankle lock. No, this is right. So he'll go right over, and I see it 1 second, and then I go, I'm going to keep my leg high and let him get it because I knew it would turn into like a lasso. And if you go 2-on-1 on the elbow on the lasso, you either get triangle or oma. But he played it well and took the omoplata. It's much safer, much harder to finish. And I've never finished omoplata in competition. Until this. Yeah, it's hard to finish. I almost took him over here.
I almost didn't think you had the angle, but I've watched this match a couple of times, and I seen it. I was like, oh, that's pretty nice.
Like at the very end.
Yes.
The very end of the finish. Yeah, the ending finish is very weird because it's like when right here, I kind of thought that the match could end here. Like there's a minute left, and I felt stuck. His weight was on top of me, and it's just not where I wanted to be. But I thought if I could just roll him over, I don't know. I was like, I know I could get him to move again. And so right there, I felt it and popped up on the elbow. If you watch, when we unwind, this is just standard omoplata for 1 second.
He kind of did it to himself. He would have stayed on his neck.
Yeah, his head, and I mean, that would have not felt good on his neck. No. But, I totally agree. It was like when it unwound, it just was, people were asking, was that a crucifix or what was that?
No, I seen that.
Okay, we want to talk about who is celebrating hard. Let's look at this.
What are you talking about? This is a normal celebration right here. Look, I'm happy. Hey, I'm happy. Give me hugs. That was to you, that hug right there. You hit me. You were yelling profanities. I give a few high fives.
Did you go yell at their corner?
No, that was our guys.
Okay.
That was our guys.
It looked like.
No, I like their corner. They're good guys.
Yeah, they're tough.
Grab my wife, pull her on stage.
Like a nice
this is the main event, bro. You got to end it. We're performers,
Yeah.
Throw up that, do a little. My promo was, it was the standard John Jones, thank God and my family, and cocaine, and so that was my standard promo, right? You know how John is.
Yeah.
I just thought I thought that's what I would do it on. But yeah, good show, man.
It was great. I had a fun time. I was nervous for 2 days for that crap.
Isn't that funny?
No, not at all.
It really, dude, it
sucks.
But it's like, it's because you want so bad to be in that moment.
Yep.
But then if you focus on it too long, when you finally get to that moment, you're not paying attention. You're everywhere with your thoughts. What are some things for you guys, if any? And I know that there has to be some because we've just done so many different tournaments and experimented with so many different ways of warming up and ways of competing. What are some big things that you guys have seen or had, or things people have told you that have helped you with, like, I wouldn't even just say anxiety, but like just help you be able to perform when it's time to perform?
I think just understanding that, and just accepting that everybody's probably pretty nervous, makes me a little bit more leveled. And then also I just warm up super hard, I feel like. And, I feel like that gets me, just gets the shakes out of me and gets me to where I need to be. So I put, what do I weigh?
What do you eat?
What do I eat?
Yeah.
A lot of ribeyes.
Day
of.
A lot of ribeyes in the morning, bro.
Ribeyes,
Wake up, have 6 ribeyes, and then ready to compete.
Weigh in and then compete.
Yeah.
No, do you after you weigh in, do you eat peanuts or bananas in the bullpen or anything?
It really just depends what time of day, but I try to do some like toast and fruit for real, and that's just about it.
You usually do honey, don't you?
Sometimes, yeah.
You're always eating weird crap, man. Have you ever noticed anything that's actually like been helpful when just food wise or anything like that before?
I definitely like having food in my stomach if I can. So even if it's like right at 9:30 in the morning, I'll try to eat fruit at least, something light, get some carbs and sugar in my stomach.
Having to compete at 9:30 sucks. Yeah. When you have to make weight, that's the biggest pain. Yeah. Getting to do, I don't love the Masters divisions times always, but that 2:00 start time when you're having trouble making weight, it's pretty nice.
It's nice.
And it's pretty nice. You can have your coffee and know later on today is when I have to be on weight, you know? What about you, Ron? Any takeaways, anything that was helpful?
No, not really. I usually just kind of nap. That kind of helps, and then I warm up pretty well. Usually, if I don't warm up, I usually legs hurt or arms are tired really fast into the match. So I think it's just a good warm up. Usually helps.
I almost noticed with my warm up too, because that like in the match, the jello legs is my least favorite feeling in the world. The jello legs is like, it's just a huge pain in competing, and it happens all the time. You're like bouncing, getting ready to compete, and you're like, my legs feel like they're in quicksand. Right. They just feel heavy. And sometimes I think it can be an overtraining thing, but I think a lot of times for people, it's that they don't warm up. And if I start jogging and I start warming up, a lot of times I will start to experience that in my warm up. I'll start to experience that like jello legs and stuff while I'm warming up. And then once I recover from my warm up, I usually feel fine and I'm able to compete.
For sure.
Definitely get that feeling. I know what you mean. Like it almost sucks to do it, but I don't know. I almost feel like it has something to do with nerves too. Because if I'm just in the gym and I do the same thing, like bouncing, my legs don't feel like that. But I think it has something to do with nerves as well.
I agree. And, you know, like I don't have to warm up near the same way in the gym as I do for a competition. No. My warm up's like hard for a competition. Yeah. But to be fair, at the gym, we never start. I'm sure there's certain training partners that we could start with, but we never start like from 0 to 100% as hard as you can. And in a competition, you start from walking onto the mat to now we're starting fighting on the feet with a guy that you don't know, that's your weight and your skill level, and you guys are going to go as hard as you can. Yeah. And so it's just that difference in, I always feel like I feel best in training when I can incrementally warm up and we start pretty light and just get a little more warm and a little more warm. And then I hit a point where I'm like, man, I can do a bunch of rounds now because I didn't kill myself in the beginning. But if I start training with somebody tough, doing a really hard round, my whole day of training will be ruined. I'll be like, man, I won't feel good another round today. And so I do feel like there is some bit with the warm-up that isn't nervousness, but I agree too that most of it feels like it's just a bizarre thing.
It is. Favorite people to warm up with? You two, Nick and John. Feel like
John Tice?
Yeah.
John Tice is a great warm-up partner. Yeah. And
if I could warm up with you guys every day, that'd be the move.
And then in a tournament, how much? So I got to, what would that have been? Would that have been the St. Louis Invitational? I warmed up with Robert recently. I was like doing reps with him in prep for something or getting ready for some match. And I just remember, like, you know, Robert's been my student since he was a white belt, and he's a black belt now. Mm-hmm. And so I've done 1,000,000 rounds with Robert. Right. And doing that was so familiar. I just remember whatever, must have been Pans or Memphis or something. But I just remember doing those rounds and like getting done and being like, this literally feels like I'm at the gym getting ready to do another round with somebody. Then I was going out to compete. So sometimes that familiarity of warm-up partner is so nice.
Yeah. I don't know if I do warm-ups with people when I'm out of town.
Sometimes it's hard, right?
There's not any mats usually.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it's like, so there's not mats, and then I go at 3 p.m. and you go at 9. And it's like, Josh doesn't want to roll hard with me at 8. You know, and so then it's like it can be really hard to just timing wise to get that. But if you have somebody that isn't Bryce, you know, have somebody that will actually be there for you, I think.
Sorry.
Dude, that's the meanest thing. This podcast would have such a different vibe if he lost. And he was just like, man, I wish I would have warmed up.
I wouldn't have showed up.
Like, not if Bryce is going to be there, dude. I hate Bryce. So on that same note, we talked about food. We talked about warm-ups. Any mental prep things just that have helped you over the years, or just different ways of thinking that have helped you guys over the years? Because when I think back, like even for me, if I go first on this, like 2020, I was losing every single match. And 2021, I was losing every single match, you know, and it was just like I was fighting very, very good guys. But I just was not there. I was not able to me, it wasn't feeling like I was hanging with them. But like looking back, I think a lot of it was more mental, of like not really believing that I could hang with them and not really knowing how to, I don't know, in a 10-minute match, you can approach it in a way that looks really good in the beginning, but it shows that you don't believe that you can win the match. Basically what I mean is, like, if you come out in a 10-minute match and you go all out blitz for the first 3 minutes, generally that shows that you don't believe that maybe you think there's a hole in the guy's game, but generally it's like you don't believe that you can win because you just go out to try to do something. And then once that ends, you're like, oh, I swept him at least once. And then you get passed and submitted. And I think that was a big problem that I was having as I was doing these tournaments. And as I recognized it more and more, of just like, man, I don't know if I really believe that I can beat these guys. And I just started to change my mindset on that. It really started to turn into, one, I would actually believe I would beat the guy, and then I would lose, but it was like close. And I felt something like, oh, there was a point where he might have thought I could beat him too. And, it still was incremental, but I just think that going and competing a bunch really made that change. But for over the last few years, has there been changes for you guys?
I think so. When I first got my purple belt, I lost my first 5 or 6 matches or so. Besides one match, I won by disqualification.
But it was a dominant disqualification, bro. It's like when I win by DQ, it doesn't look good. But when Bryce wins by DQ, it's like, go Bryce.
What happened?
The guy heel hooked him or something. It was he reaped you really hard, didn't he?
Yeah. And then he tried calling me. I was trying to set up a K guard ankle lock, and then he was pointing to it and talking to the ref and saying, and this is IBJJF. And he was like, "Oh, Aoki lock," and then right after, I let go of the ankle lock just to show the ref that I wasn't doing that. And then right after that, he just completely hipped and reaped me on purpose. I was like, what the fuck?
Why has that happened to you multiple times?
I don't know, man.
Because that happened on that super fight card in Springfield.
Yeah.
And the kid did it so many times. They obviously didn't want to DQ a guy on a pro card. And so the ref kept saying hey, you cannot throw your leg over. He'd stop the match, and then they would restart. And he would try to sweep for a little bit, couldn't, and then he would be like, maybe I'll just hard reap this kid. And he kept doing it. And finally, when the ref DQ'd him, the ref came up to me and just threw his hands up what could I have done? Right. What I'm like, dude, I agree. My guy won. I'm cool with that. But yeah, it is. When I look back on it, it almost could be a likability issue as to why Bryce is getting people want to beat him so bad they're willing to get DQ'd. They're just like, I don't care. I just want to hurt him.
But yeah, whenever I lost all those matches, I didn't even think about not competing anymore because I just like doing it so much. But I don't know. One thing I just started to think was okay, I do want to own a gym one day and I want to have my own team. So you just gotta learn. If I want to guide somebody through their competition journey one day, I've got to know. I've just got to experience it myself. So I feel like that's one thing that has changed in my mentality recently.
I don't know. kind of something that you said to me is we do jiu-jitsu every day. That's helped a lot. Like literally we're at the gym every single day or twice a day. So that's definitely helped. I don't think I really am a super nervous person when it comes to competition, so there's not a whole bunch else that I really think about, but I'd say that's probably the main thing that I tell myself.
And would you say, Bryce, I want to go back to what you said actually in a second, but just off what you said, Ron, or would you say you are a nervous person in general?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say so.
Would you say that like is part of what makes you nervous for jiu-jitsu, or it makes it worse or anything like that?
I think it makes it worse. I just, I think if I could do jiu-jitsu with no one around, I think it would be so much easier for me. Like, I perform way better in the gym than I do in competition, I believe.
Are there any standout times for you that you didn't get nervous for a match or a fight? We really haven't said a lot of background on you. We're going to eventually do an episode where we kind of tell more of your story, talk more about you fighting MMA. But any standout times that you remember, like, yeah, I just didn't seem to get nervous, or would you say you've been nervous every single time?
When we did the super fight in Kansas City, and that guy was way bigger than me, and I really should have been nervous, I wasn't. I don't know what was going on, but I was definitely okay with that match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That venue, I also agree that I was not nervous for that event. It's almost so far separated, like where we hung out, like the green room of that, and then you walk down in your own elevator and you come out on, like, you really don't even notice that people are there on that.
Yeah, you're literally on a different floor than everyone, right?
And
So,
yeah, I do. I agree. At both times that I've gone there, I have just not felt nervous at all.
yeah, it was. I liked that place. It was a nice venue for sure.
Yeah. But just kind of back to what you were saying, Bryce, and just that mindset change. I feel like that's something that a mindset that a lot of people should probably change that are coaches or that want to be coaches one day. But it's so hard mentally to go and lose jiu-jitsu tournaments because you're like, oh, well, people think that I suck now. People think that I'm not a purple belt if I can't win, matches at purple belt. And it can easily play into your head. What was your reason for that thought change, and just, how did that look?
I mean, just because, I just got my purple belt, and I feel like at blue belt, I didn't win every tournament. I only really won a couple tournaments, especially IBJJF at blue belt. But, I just wanted to do good at purple belt. I feel like I placed at almost every tournament I did at blue belt. And then besides like Worlds, Pans, definitely got my ass kicked there. But
yeah, I was there at those. One time at Pans, Bryce was fired up. He was beating people down, and then he fought this kid. And he was like, oof. Sorry, continue with what you were saying, Bryce.
But yeah, just wanting to do good at purple belt, and then just wanting to win, and then realizing like, okay, everybody's tough as shit as purple belt. Like, it's not realistic. Like, yeah, I'm not a super athlete. I'm not gonna win every match, and more. Yeah, when I just sit down and think of why I actually want to do jiu-jitsu, it is to have a community one day, and yeah, I just need to know how to go through that to guide other people through that. So
and that is so true. Is like just that ability to endure. You have to learn it the hard way. You're not just born with that ability to know, like, I can take that, because it's embarrassing to lose,
For sure. And it's not like I'd lost 5 or 6 matches in like 1, 2, 3 tournaments. That's IBJJF tournaments. Like, I spent, $800 in that time just on tournament fees too. So.
And it's so discouraging. Like, it was discouraging to Google Josh McKinney and just see me lose every single match. And, it's embarrassing to do that, but like, the guys that just take it and just go, I wish I was winning. You know, if I could be winning right now, I would. But I know if my plan is to win in the future, I have to just keep doing this. You know, I have to just keep enduring. And I think most people just don't have that mindset. They just care so much about today. They're like, but I can't, I can't have lost. You know, nobody cares what I did at purple belt. You know, nobody cares what I've done at black belt. You know, and it's just that perspective shift is freeing for a lot of jiu-jitsu competitors.
Yeah.
I think Nick says it the best, Sanders. He used to always say, like, to me when I was a white belt under Nick, and I think my first competition, he's like, just go compete. No one cares. Like, you're a white belt. He's like, no one remembers my black belt matches. They don't remember your white belt matches, and you probably won't remember it either. I was like, oh, so that kind of helped.
Man, I think about, Nick's such a good competitor, and he's always given me similar, like, just really good perspective on competing, just really good perspective on how to look at this next match, how to look at this next tournament. And generally that perspective is like, dude, don't stress about it. We do jiu-jitsu every day. That might be something that I got from Nick, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just like, we show up every day. It's no different. Go show up and compete.
Yeah.
Man, on that note, I feel like when we are just going standalone for the idea of competing on a super fight show, I know we've added a lot of different thoughts and a lot of different perspectives. Anything that you guys want to say to finish? You guys have any thoughts on that? Or just anything? I guess here's a better question than anything you guys want to say to finish. If somebody is thinking about doing some type of super fight or applying for some type of super fight, any advice, thought they should, they shouldn't, anything like that?
I would definitely make sure that you have fun.
Yeah.
Like, make it to where it's something fun. If you're completely nervous, like, that you feel like the world's going to end, or because I used to feel like that. Like, I'm going to do this. Sign up. As soon as it was time to fight or compete, I would be like, I'm never doing this again. As soon as it was over, I was signing up for the next one. So just have fun, I would say, is probably my biggest thing.
Yeah, I'd say just definitely try to do it if it's something you're interested in, and don't make it bigger than what it is, because like you guys said, and we say, we're just doing jiu-jitsu. So,
and that is as silly as it sounds, like, because people will listen for advice because they care so much about competing and winning a jiu-jitsu tournament. But one of the best advice, like some of the best advice for winning more jiu-jitsu tournaments, is to not take it so seriously. Yeah. Is to not stress about it so much, because most of the time it just makes you underperform. All right, guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Bryce, thanks for defending yourself a little bit for the first time ever.
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I feel like, it probably will be translated. A lot of people will be like, oh, Josh was really mean to Bryce. But, like, I was probably only 10% as mean as I normally am to Bryce.
It was pretty dialed back.
Yeah, you should have heard him before.
Exactly. All right. Thank you guys for being on.
All right, thank you.